Hey guys, welcome to today's video. This is Martin from martinmixing.com, and this week I decided to do something really special. This week I decided to dedicate a whole series of videos to nothing but mixing. For this I've taken this song and I'll mix it from beginning to end just like I would do for a client. I'll show you exactly what I do, what my processes are, and whatever else there is. You'll see. I will break this video down into 3 parts. Even though I believe that mixing is a circular thing, I'll try to separate things as much as possible so it's easier for you to understand what's going on. So in this part 1 video, I want to tackle the drums for sure, the bass, maybe do some panning mixing to the guitars, and let's see how far we get. So let's jump right into Logic and get started. So as you can see, I have already prepped the mix. I didn't want to waste anyone's time doing that. But as you can see, we have a drum kit in this light green bluish kind of color, a shaker, bass guitar. Then we have a bunch of acoustic guitars that we'll have to figure out live on camera what they all do. By the looks of it, it looks like we have 2 main guitars, 2 tracks that are kind of supporting guitars, I suppose probably for the chorus. Again, I've not really tackled this song yet, so I don't know exactly what every part is. And then we have 1 more acoustic guitar, which seems to be a bit shorter. Let's just see what that does. Then we have a piano, 2 pianos, okay. Not going throughout the whole song, so this seems to be, I mean, I've heard the rough mix, of course, I know what this is. This is an acoustic guitar driven song supplemented by a piano with electric guitars here in purple that add a few more riffs and licks into the song. Let's just do some fading here. One little thing is, so even though everything is already edited from the client, from the person who I received the files from, I do like to remove everything that is silence so I can see clearly where instruments are playing. You know, especially if you are really zoomed out, you want to know, okay, I want to hear this guitar and I know, okay, this guitar will happen here, so I'm not looking for it somewhere here. And also another reason is, and many people don't know this, but Logic actually doesn't consume CPU when there is no region on the tracks. So I could have 20 plugins on this guitar, it will only consume CPU here and of course here, but will not consume CPU here where it's empty. So this is a really neat little thing to know. Then we have lead vocals 1, 2, 3, 4, so clearly broken down into different sections. That's really cool. We'll probably treat them a bit differently. And then a bunch of backing vocals, which, you know, we have to see what we do to them. So I'll try to keep talking, I'll try to keep talking to a minimum and really just mix this song as I would. Of course, when something interesting or exciting happens, then I'll try to explain what I've done or why I've done it. I'll try to share my thought processes with you as much as possible. But I think just by watching what's happening here, you'll pretty much understand what's going on. Come on, buddy. So let's do this. Let's have a quick listen at the rough, I would say.
Words, and I never live out all my thoughts that come to play. They wanna play, make me wanna misbehave, always wanna make me betray the woman of my dream. Always say I will never any day, but I don't know what you're talking like. Will I cave? Will I cave? Yeah, I'm terrified of what lies inside. I'm scared and quiet, fighting with my mind. Will it come out that I have my doubts? Will I?
Okay, cool. So we do get quite a good picture of what this is supposed to be. I mean, clearly this is a rough mix. We know kind of where we want to go. We want the punchy drums and punchy guitars to drive the rhythm really well. We want the bass to give the bottom and probably supplement some of the low end to the guitars too. And the electric guitars seem to be more a filler.
And some days she feels like my world. And living.
Yup. The piano, let's have a look at
Will it come out that I have my will I?
So I think with the piano we can do something a bit more interesting. But either way, let's dive in. At this point I already know more or less where I want to go in the mix. So I never make an adjustment without knowing what I want. Okay, that is very important. So I don't want to be distracted right now, so I will mute all of the vocals, electric guitars. Let's mute the piano as well. Actually, let's mute the acoustics and let's just have a listen at. As you can see, I have lowered all the faders to -10 just to not overload my master bus. This is something I do on every mix because when I receive tracks, they're usually too hot. I mean, not too hot, but as a whole, they are overloading the master bus. So I always start my mixes at -10 on every fader. For this mix, I'll use a Brit. Well, actually, let's change it to an SSL-E master bus. I'll change the drive here later on, just how hot I'm hitting it, and I have my tape on as well. Let's just cool it down a little because these add a little bit of color, so I don't want to compensate for them later on as I add them. So, I said this a million times before, you know, a well-programmed kit is better than a badly recorded one. And here, to be honest, I don't hear anything that I want to change. Everything sounds good. I think the room is a bit too much. You might be automating this later on. But what am I supposed to do here? I mean, it sounds good. No, it sounds great. Everything is present. We can hear the kick, the snare, the stereo image is nice, hi-hat is good. It's not too dark, it's not too bright, I don't hear any mud. So to me, this is really good as it is, honestly. I mean, this is the dream for a mixer, no? So let's just send all of these to a bus, which will be my drum bus. Give a track. So as you can see, I just added a bit of treble on the drum bus, and then I went back to tweak the individual tracks. Usually I would mix bottom up, so I would do 1, 2, 3 and on, but here I just wanted to you know, fix the kit as a whole, because I thought it just has a little bit too little treble and maybe a bit more body, as you can see what I did here. And then just make slight tweaks to the rest of the tracks as needed. Here in the kick, I don't like this too honky kind of mid-range thing. Yeah, it's not my favorite kick sound ever, but it's good, it's good. Let's see the toms. I didn't quite like the toms. Yeah, I mean, that's just the usual tom kind of thing. I have a preset for that. So I want a bit more from the overheads, but as I'm increasing them, we hear that there's a bit too much of this kind of stuff. This is just a nice wide bell. I really love this for boosting treble. It actually makes things sound thicker somehow while making it brighter. It's crazy, but it's amazing. Now this room mic, I'm just gonna keep this ready, because I might do some crushing on that later on. Let's see how it fits in the mix. Do some 1176 kind of magic. Okay, I love low end, but this is too much. Oh, dude, sustain. So as you can see, the tricks I'm mentioning in my other videos, I do actually use them. So here we have The snare, I noticed it's poking out a lot on the buses, so I wanted to control it a little bit more. I'm chopping off the transient here with this channel emulation, okay? So you get a bit more dB RMS and a bit less dB FS, okay? So we want less peak, more body. Let's just see what happens when I undo that. We got about half a dB, that's okay. Let's put in the bass. So I don't quite like how the bass and the drums, I mean the drums are a little bit overplayed, to be honest. I think it's doing too much. So the camera stopped recording when I was doing the bass, so let me just explain quickly what I did here. So before anything, I just added some compression to keep it in check. Then I added, after the compression, a bit of mids here. This is the usual 1.6, 3.2, which I really like on basses. And I'm using, again, this wide bell here to add some subs in the 60 Hertz range. And the cool thing what I've done was that I then added another EQ later on after the compression was there to reduce this kind of 200 Hertz mud that I really didn't like. Then I just sent this bass to my parallel chain, the bass para, for a bit of distortion that I'm also compressing. For a bit more grit, and then I just found that there was still a bit too much mud somewhere, so I took that out. And I think as far as rhythm section goes, this is it. No, I think this is really cool. So we have a really solid drum set with very little processing actually. We have a really cool bass sound, which I think works really well. It cuts through, we can hear the fingers or the pick on the string, and we can hear some body. Now, again, this mixing is a circular thing, so we might come back to any of these instruments later on and do some additional tweaks. It's not a one-way street. We always come back to you know, do some massaging, but for now I'm really happy with where we are. So this would sum up part 1 of these video series. We did drums and bass, and next time we'll move on to guitars and maybe some vocals as well. See you next time.